Welcome to Rethink Talks. I am your host, Alicia Castillo Holley, bringing you real-life conversations from Silicon Valley or somewhere around the world. We will talk about disruptors, angel investments, venture capital, and of course, family offices. Join me along with my children, their families, friends, disruptors, and investors as we explore the fascinating world of creating wealth in a completely different and authentic way. Hello, everyone. Alicia Castillo Holley here. So excited to bring Kate Brodock to our podcast. Kate, welcome. How are you doing today?
Great. And thank you for having me and excited to chat with you.
Fantastic. So let's just start with a question that I love. How did you get to be here and do what you're doing today?
Gosh, a lot of different ways I could answer that. So I've been 25 or so years in the tech startup space in many different capacities. I've been an operator. I have spent a good deal of time working with early stage tech startups, specifically women-led tech startups, on company formation, growth, etc., fundraising, all of that good stuff, community building. And then for the past decade or so, I've had my investor hat on as well, angel investing, and then running a VC fund with a great partner of mine, Allison Capon. And we invest into early stage women and underrepresented led technology founders. And in addition to that, and relevant to the conversation, is I'm someone who has my fingers in a lot all the time. And so most recently, there is a college campus in upstate New York in the town that I live in that closed. And we are just in the final stages, about 1 month or so-ish, to close on that college campus and turn it into a really neat multi-use district that includes some startup innovation stuff, some cool non-tech related projects, community, some housing, etc. Food, culinary, all of that good stuff that would go into kind of a multi-use district. So that's it.
That is a project that I'm very excited about. Tell us a little bit more about that project. And you've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a journey. And it's been closed for 2 years, and we've been in the process for about a year. The sellers are a group, I think about 5 or 6 bondholders. So that's been part of the experience, is that our negotiations and processes have all been done with bondholders. And it's gone through many, as you might imagine, due diligence was we've got 25 buildings of varying stages of age and states and all of that stuff, and scrounging up things like floor plans for something that was under an institution for almost 199 years. That process was long. And then finally, we've gotten here, and we're excited to be focusing the actual development portion on the quad piece of it. It's a very traditional main quad. And then there's also a great opportunity with this particular property. There's about 150 acres just off of the main campus by about 2 miles that was the home of the equine program for the school. And we're very excited to be modeling that out as a responsible land use, sort of responsible suburban growth project using an agri-hood model, and that sort of thing. So excited. One of the big things we're thinking about is really treating this as a pilot for, college campuses, unfortunately, are closing at a rate of 1 per week in this country, and they're all very similar. Small liberal arts, suburbs or rural, And if we can do piloting of how that can be effectively happen, um, and reintegrate them into the community, possibly even offer solutions for pre-closures if we can,
Mhm.
that's really interesting to us. So that's how we're looking at it.
That's fantastic. Did you ever think you would be doing this?
Nope, not at all. Nope.
So what would you tell yourself? What would you have told yourself, or what would you write to yourself, to your younger self, to Kate 20 years ago? Because a lot of people that are listening or that are watching are probably in the way in the situation that you were 20 years ago. How do you make that path? What is the learning?
Well, it's a good question. A couple of things. I do think I am a certain type of person that and for better or for worse, because this has not necessarily been easy to have a nonlinear path. I have always sort of jumped into things that I think look interesting, again, for better or for worse. Not everybody has that comfort level. So maybe one thing I might say is understand what your comfort level is on things like kicking around to different projects and maybe not having a traditional career and that sort of thing. But I think one big thing that has probably gotten me here, and it's funny because I was in a great small lunch with a bunch of professional women in my network last week, and it was, what we were all asked what our version of success is, and I'll actually repeat that because I think it's relevant here. And I think what it is doing big things as much as you can. And what I mean by that is not necessarily like a rally cry, because big things have a lot of uncomfortable feelings with them, like fear, anxiety. I have all of them.
Uh-huh.
and and I think it's about continuing to try to do those big things and address those uncomfortable feelings, because then you get to go from here to here. And that could be in, you know, for anybody listening, that could be in their traditional jobs. It could be writing out their first angel. You and I talk a lot about angel investing. It could be writing out your first angel investing check. It could be anything in that realm. So that's probably yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Would you tell yourself something in particular in that area?
Surround yourself with the right people. I think that's been the if I didn't do that, and if I didn't have some of the people that I had around me, I making that jump would be even scarier, but also probably less successful. So
Mm,
like it's not just about me. I'm like you said, Alicia, I'm doing something new that I never would have guessed I would have done.
mhm.
And I have picked phenomenal people around me to make sure that it happens right and that it is successful. So,
That is great. That's also what I have done because I come from a tiny country in Venezuela, so it's not even in the map. It's so small, and one of the things that I reflect on my life is the the opportunities that I've taken, the risks that I've taken, the learnings that I've taken, and how it has also been useful to other people. So, like I built a hotel in 2015, and because of that experience, I was able to talk to you about, hey, these are the risks, these are the red flags, this is the things that we did and we didn't, and then you mold it to your own personal situation. But one thing that stood out is if you don't reach out to people and ask for advice, you will never get that. But also, you need to ask for the right advice. Like if I hadn't done that, I would have never been able to give you my professional opinion, which might or might not be useful to you. But it was that combination of asking, would anybody help me on this area? And then being open to receiving that without being transactional, that I think helps build this tribe of trust and care that we all need. Is that
Yeah,
what you've seen?
I absolutely. And I mean, you're actually a prime example of that for me, is that I've reached out to you for this project. You've been extremely helpful. And that last piece that you just said, which is the ongoing trust,
Mm-hmm.
then that gets built into that. I mean, it's really what you're talking about is relationship building. Beyond the transaction, it really is. And I have this great set of people around me who you might put into like an advisor bucket or something like that, that I know I can, while being respectful of the relationship, um, I know I can go to consistently and over the long term. And even if there are some times that they may not be as helpful, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They might not have the exact answer in that moment. It's okay. And it's just that long term piece of it, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's really important because a lot of people tend to think that you need to be brave enough and you need to be resilient enough, and the truth is that you also need to be cognitive of, hey, somebody has been here before. Let me ask for help, and
Yeah.
not a lot of people do that. Uh,
Yeah.
Certainly, I wasn't one to do that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure it out, and I think for me personally, learning how to ask for help from the right
Yeah.
people was essential. Who has done this before? Can you help me? And they can say yes or no, but
Right.
I put myself in that position of
Yeah.
I am receiving that information. And then in the future, probably you can do that to others as well.
Yeah. And you just brought up a great point, Alicia, because I used to also like I had to learn to ask for help. Now I am delighted to say to myself, I am not the first person to do this, which means this problem is solvable. And my job right now is to go out and find the person or the information that will help me solve this. That's actually, it like almost takes a weight off your shoulder
Mhm.
when you hit these scary things. Like somebody's done this before.
Yeah.
So it's doable. And
Yeah.
that's actually like a relief in some ways.
Yes, and also as an investor, you realize that the founder is what they call coachable, but it's not coachable because the founder is not going to do what you tell them to do. Or people confuse that. It's not coachable in that sense. What it means is that the founder knows that in order to lead efficiently, you need to have a tribe. And sometimes it's not another investor, sometimes it's not another advisor, sometimes it's not a board member, sometimes it's a friend, but you need to be able to ask for help and you need to be able to filter that and then use it to your advantage. So I think that's a great learning for anybody that is listening. So thank you for that. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, this project is going to take a couple of years. So I think in 10 years, I'll probably be at the tail end of this particular project, just in terms for like real estate purposes, in terms of stabilization and that sort of thing. Um, Hopefully, I'm still actively investing into great underrepresented founders. That's really, and actually, I'm going to expand that because not just investing, but working with and coaching and helping and all that stuff. That's really the piece of it that, frankly, I love the most.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think in 10 years, hopefully, I will have done the right things so that I can be choosy about what I get to do, and settle into a place where um, I am. I am able to fulfill those pieces of me that I know I love, I know I'm good at, and that sort of thing. So I hope to be there in 10 years.
What is your favorite type of companies to invest in besides the real estate project?
Well, this is going to be broad, but this is something that Allison and I talk about a lot at the W Fund. Is we have to read a deck and we have to get emotionally excited about it. And usually, what that means is that in some way, shape, or form, a company is really kind of, this is going to sound a little bit silly, but changing the world. And
Mm-hmm.
that could mean, that could mean women's health. It could mean the environment. It could mean helping, ag tech, helping farmers. It could be protecting people's data, something like that. But that's the piece of it that so that I think it has to be there for me to invest in anything. So
And do you pre-seed and seed? What is the stage?
uh pre-seed and seed. I
Okay.
get I get excited with pre-seed, but as you know very well, you've got to be careful. A
Yeah.
little bit more careful there. You have to be a little bit more thoughtful. The highest risk place that you could possibly invest. So you do have to be thoughtful. But pre-seed and seed, I get the most excited. It's also where I'm most helpful as
Mm-hmm.
well. Once companies get a little larger, I become less helpful, just because it's not my sweet spot. And part of what I get excited about is the helping piece.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's my favorite stage for sure. Sort of that pre-seed to seed.
And flipping that to being an entrepreneur and raising funds, are you raising funds for the fund and are you raising funds for the college?
Yes, great question. So currently, yes, raising for the college for the two separate investments. And then we are in between funds right now. We closed our fund one last fall, and we will begin fundraising for fund two this fall. So we took a little hiatus, but are getting prepped to hit the market in the fall.
Okay. What is your ideal investor? What is the profile?
So for fund two, our favorite investors were professional women who were at the point in their careers that they had success. They had their own earned assets in their hands and they really wanted to put those assets to work. And so those are our favorite for obvious reasons. A lot of them for Fund One had kind of followed Allison and I in our pre-fund journeys when we were doing a lot of work on behalf of women tech founders.
Mhm.
So the sort of relationship and mission was also built in there. So those are our favorite types of investors, and we'll probably have, as with most fund twos, we'll have more sort of institutionals or family offices or something in our fund two. But we still hope to make it really accessible to make sure that that initial sort of target LP is well represented in fund two.
And for the college?
For the college, great question. We are shooting for a goal of having it majority women and minority owned. We're pretty well on track there, but good representation. You know the stats in that space. So we're going from whatever 2 or 3% to, if we can hit 40, that'll be great. We have a lot of community members here. So that's, we have some locals and then we have some great investors. We do have one or two institutional, I mean, small institutional, but like FOs and that sort of thing. And then we have what I probably like to think of as sort of like big idea investors, and they're kind of looking at this as a really interesting project and also thinking about that follow on sort of scale opportunity. Okay, if it gets modeled out here, that's actually a potential with other colleges moving forward to kind of kick off on. So that's a really neat set of investors that we have right now. But that's generally the breakdown. Got a
Okay.
lot of folks, from my network and that sort of thing.
Okay. What is the background that you have? This is just a different question, but it's just so beautiful.
Oh gosh.
It doesn't look
And Oh, the literal background. Oh, this is the top of our property. So this is actually like a real view in my world. So we live kind of on a ridge, and if our house is here and you go up to the ridge, so this is looking north into the Adirondacks
Oh,
of
wow.
New York State. Yeah, at sunset, as you can see.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah. For those of you who are just listening, jump into the YouTube so you can see it. It's just very beautiful.
thank
Kate, let
you.
me ask you the last question, which is probably the most important one. Um, and I frame it this way, when I was 13, I fell off a horse and I was in coma. I died, but I didn't die
Oh my
completely.
gosh.
That's okay.
Oh
I'm
my gosh, I did not know this.
Yeah, nobody knows that. Well, actually, now everybody knows because I always ask it in the
There
past.
you go.
But it framed my life differently because so I saw myself dead and I'm like, oh my gosh, I died. I can't believe this. I'm 13. I had never had a boyfriend. I was a scientist by then. I was in the lab and I'm like, I wanted to publish that thing. And I was very young. And so I lost conscious again. So I was half dead. And when I woke up finally and I realized I'm back, that completely changed my view of life. And I said, this is a gift that can be taken away at any moment. And I live my life just making the most of every single second that I'm breathing.
Love it.
But not everybody thinks that our life is going to end. I have a joke about that, but I'm not going to, I'll tell you after we finish. But not everybody thinks that life is going to end. But there's something that keeps us together in our core, and it's the thought that we have an essence. And the last question for me is, for you, sorry, is have you thought about who are you when you're no longer here?
Wow, that's a good question. I to answer that question on the fly,
Yes.
I'm gonna go to my values, which I've certainly thought about. And I suppose if because almost a way you could answer that is what might somebody say
It
about you when you're gone?
is your answer.
And and so I would answer that as honestly, I just hope that I two things. When I die, I want to have been able to work with just really good humans. And I hope that I left a mark. It does not have to be a documented mark, it does not have to be a lauded mark, nothing like that. I just hope I made the world like a little bit of a better place, whether it's more fair or created opportunities locally or something for humans and Mother Earth. Those are I mean, that's it.
Thank you for the answer. It's
Yeah.
always wonderful to get those answers. Kate, really, really appreciate your time with us. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was phenomenal. And I will put the names and your information on the credits here so people can contact you.
Great.
How do people contact you? What is the best way to do it?
You can email me, Kate at switchthefuture.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. The only thing I ask is to give me a little note as to why you're connecting with me. That way I can actually sift out the legitimate connections.
Okay, thank you so much, Kate. A pleasure. Well, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kate, an amazing person. As I was talking to her, she's just a human being from a small town that gradually started to do things that were amazing. And this serves as an example of what we need in society. We don't need only the big trees and the big people, but just people gradually making the world a better place, contributing to the economy, contributing to the local growth. And what she's doing in with the college is just fantastic. So I've been observing her journey for the last 2 years and how she's, without being 100% sure that she's going to get this done, she keeps adding pieces and modifying that, and consistently growing the project and closing the important things, trying to be very practical about the using this college. And now that she's almost finished with that, her vision that you can take this as a model to other communities, it's really what entrepreneurial mindset is about. It's you start solving a problem. How does somebody else benefit, so we can create that solution to other people? I hope you enjoyed this conversation. This is Alicia Castillo Holley, yours in Wealthing, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to our Wealthing Talks. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. To stay connected, visit us at wealthing.com. This is Alicia Castillo Holley, your host, and until next time, yours in Wealthing.